for the invite. I'm here to talk about content, and content that actually delivers growth for brands. So that's what this is about. I'm quite lucky, I have a nice job. I get to travel around Southeast Asia and Singapore helping clients make their content better, make their advertising better. This presentation is about how we actually cut through. Like, given everything that you just heard, a lot of that is the background for this presentation. Is in that kind of world, how does the content and the videos that we're putting out actually make a difference for brands? We're all very excited about digital, about ad tech and digital and potential to engage and micro-targeting and all of that. One of the reasons that digital has exploded so much is because it's so measurable. And I think as an industry, we've become very excited about the ROI and about the easy case you can make to your CFO about why actually invest in digital. Basic premise of this is that in amongst all that, we've kind of lost a little bit of what makes effective communication, which is emotions and stories and engaging people. We've got to remember that fundamentally, people don't want to hear from us. They don't care about marketing. They just want to go about their daily life. They want to go and buy their OTT from Simlin. And it's our responsibility to create content that actually engages them and meets them on their terms. And that's the stuff that cuts through, and that's what I want to talk about, for which I'll need to click up. So the data in this presentation is based on a few things. So we've just done a global study, and the data I'm going to show you here is the APAC version, or the SEO version, which is looking at some of the most effective YouTube content from the last year or so. The content that's really caught light and has been watched by the most people, basically. And what makes that stuff tick? We're also pulling in a lot of neuroscience learning. So we do thousands of ad tests. Anyone who knows Millward Brown knows we do a lot of pre-testing, TV and digital. Last few years we've always had a neuroscience component to that. So we've got a lot of data on what connects people, so the system wants stuff. And then it's got quite a lot from the thousands of digital in-market studies that we do every year. And then there's a little bit about Brand Z. So Brand Z is, I think it's the world's largest brand equity database, basically. So we're constantly in field talking to people about brands and why they grow. So that helps us to put this in a context of the brands that are really, really growing. So, talking about content that cuts through, content that can actually drive brand growth. First thing you need to know, the first thing you need to know is that people don't care about your content. And they would much rather just be going on and on about with their daily lives. They don't particularly want to hear about brands. And in fact, about 75% of people are actively trying to avoid the content. That does not mean that they won't watch something that inspires them, but they're not choosing to watch branded messages. Most people are trying to avoid it in various ways. So the interesting thing about that is that we're still trying, as an industry, as marketers, we're still trying to communicate with people in quite a traditional way. So if you look at the sorts of messages that are in a lot of the content that we've looked at over the last year, it's still very, very explicit in the messaging. So what do I mean by explicit messaging? I mean, I think that there's a lot of inside people in the room, a lot of researchers talking about key message A, key message B, key message C, the benefits, all of those things that we recognise from our tracking questionnaires and from our pre-test, that sort of rational stuff is still the focus of a lot of the content. What we're saying is that we actually need to shift that mindset and stop thinking about benefits and messaging in the videos that we're putting out, and start thinking about the feelings and the emotions that we're leaving people with, because actually that's the stuff that cuts through, that's the stuff that people remember. And the risks in digital are so much greater if we get that wrong. So the worst thing pretty much that can happen with a bad TV ad or poster is that it gets ignored. People just switch off and ignore you and I'm done, except wasting money. With digital, we're actively annoying people. I often think about it as the same concept as, you know, when you're walking down the street and someone tries to get you to sign up to a charity. You love charity, and don't get me wrong, but it's annoying, right? Because you're on your way somewhere else, you want to go somewhere else, and so it is with digital advertising. Like, people are trying to do something else and we're getting in their way. And that annoys people. So if you look at our data, the bottom 20% of digital that we work with actually has a detrimental effect on the brand. So these are clients that are investing their money to damage their brand. Okay? So that's why this stuff is important. It can go really wrong. So how to make sense of that, how to try and make a difference. There's no silver bullet, I'm not here with the answer. And the answer to any question in marketing is always it depends on your brand, on your scenario, on the context. But what we do have is 5 basic themes to think about to try and make content that really cuts through in that landscape. So first one, make a meaningful impression. So in any room like this, there'll be a few ex-Millward Brown people, and you'll recognise this stuff. Meaningful difference, we talk about it all the time. This is coming from Brand Z. So Brand Z is a WPP sponsored study, tons and tons of data all around the world about brands that grow, and always linking it to financial growth. So the question is, what makes a brand grow shareholder value, okay? 2 things come out of that at the end of the day. It's all about meaningful difference. So think about a brand that means something to you, your favourite cola or whatever, and you'll realise that it's offering you something meaningful, and that can be rational or emotional. So it either tastes the best, or you just instinctively like it. Like it's the thing you grew up with, and it has an emotional value to you. And that's what we're talking about meaning. It's about offering you something that connects with you. It'll also be different, because if you offer something that connects with people and it's the same as the other guy, then you're in trouble. So you have to have this difference as well. Sounds really simple, but a lot of brands that fail are getting one of those 2 things wrong. It's about meaning and difference. When you bring it to comms, it's really, really hard to be different all the time. And actually, it's detrimental to the brand, because it leads you to chopping and changing and always doing different things. So what we're talking about from a comms point of view is emotions. So really focusing rather on the rational meaning, focusing on the emotional meaning. And how do we make that connection that can help you stand out above and beyond the actual practical differentiation? So we work with a lot of FMCG clients, and I work with certain snack brands in Thailand, and because of this desire for difference, they're pretty much innovating every 4 to 6 weeks. It's massively expensive and hugely draining on resources, because there's a constant need to differentiate. If you can establish more of an emotional connection and a more consistent feeling about the brand, that can differentiate you for the long term and get rid of that need for constant innovation. That's the point of this. So you can't really see that, at least I can't, but the 2 axes there are, on the left hand side is really, really appealing, emotionally driven advertising, and on the bottom is brands that have meaningful difference. And the ones that really grow, so if from the Brand Z database, 187% growth in the last year, are the ones that do both. They're the ones that have a meaningful difference, they make a connection, and they're somewhat different at least, and they're doing an emotional job with their comms and their content, so they're striking the right emotional note. So I'll play you an ad which sums it up much better than what I am doing.
They say don't waste your life away. Don't be foolish, don't act silly. They say don't waste your money. They say don't spend the whole night out. Don't hang out, don't be loud. They say don't act proud. They say don't go all out. But what they don't know is, I've got it all planned out.
Awesome ad. So we're here to talk about content. That is a TV ad, but it also played digitally and had tons and tons of views. It was also supported by tons and tons of other content online. And I'll come back to some of that in a minute. But firstly, brilliant film. It's won tons of awards in Singapore. We're associated with the FEs, which is the Institute of Advertising in Singapore. And I was there the other night, and this thing won, I think, gold for one of the best campaigns in the last year. And the reason I'm showing you at this point is that it has that meaningful difference. So retirement, income, insurance ads, really, really dull, generally appealing to people's sense of fear. If you don't do this now, you're going to die lonely and old and penniless, right? That's the basic message of this entire industry. This flipped it totally on its head, took a completely different view and said, hang on a minute, retirement, if you start now, this can facilitate a really positive thing. Like, you can relax, you can enjoy your life safe in the knowledge that you're saving. It's a completely different angle on the market, and a really meaningful, emotional way of talking about the market, and a fantastic job for income. So that's what I'm talking about, is finding that emotional tone, but also something that's really, really different. So now I need to talk about a little bit about neuroscience, and I'm not going to get into the science of it. If you want to talk about it, come and ask me on a break. Basically, I think most people by now have heard about System 1 and System 2. of talking about system one is the part of the brain that is intuitive. It's the first part of the brain that evolved. It's the bit that got us through the ice age and helped us run away from walls and stuff like that. System two is the thoughtful brain. It's the brain that, if you're awake, is the brain that you're using now to think about this and think about what's this guy actually saying? Does it make sense? How does it make sense? And the point is, as we've already established, people aren't really interested in our comms and in our advertising. So we have to appeal to that instinctive part of the brain because they're not really processing it. They're not really thinking about it a lot. So the comms and the content that really works is the stuff that is just giving a nice feeling and is connecting with that intuitive part of the brain. And it's all about emotions, fundamentally. So I'll show you another one that sums this up nicely. So everyone's seen Coke advertising, right? I'm going to cut some of these short, otherwise I'll eat into your coffee in your day. Why am I showing you that? Absolutely no rational messages in that at all, right? And if you think about the early shots of that, it's perfect system one advertising. You already associate Coke with tons and tons of very, very implicit stuff. So the fizz, the taste, the ice clink, the gulp, all of that stuff, and it's all there in the first 7 seconds of that film. That's about reinforcing stuff that already exists and keeping the brand salient and just reinforcing the feeling of Coke. And that's what's going to swing it when people are next looking at a Coke versus a Pepsi, because they'll just have that a little bit more salient and they'll just lean towards it. Coke has that advantage because it's such an established brand. Those cues have been established over the last 100 odd years. If you're a new brand, the first thing you have to do is establish that. But what we're talking about here is advertising that just, once those things are established, just plays gently to them and reminds them and keeps them top of mind. So we have to make people feel something. It's all about the emotions. Here's a good one from Thailand, which some of you might not have seen, and it's pretty funny, so I'll play it all.
พี่เป๊กขอบคุณมากนะคะที่วันนี้อุตส่าห์มาส่งเกรงใจเลยไหมคะโอ้ยไม่เป็นไรเลยครับทางเดียวกันอยากขยับเข้าไปใกล้เธอใจฉันสั่นเมื่อได้ยินเสียงเธอตั้งแต่วันแรกเจออยากจะได้คนนี้เป็นแฟนฉันอยากจะได้คนนี้เป็นแฟนถ้าหากได้เธอนั้นเป็นแฟนก็ดีอยากให้ฉันมาจีบฉันทีมาจีบฉันทีฉันอยาก
Quite nice, right? So there's a feeling there. It's nice, it's funny, it's light-hearted. It's also a slightly different take on car commercials. It's about the feelings that you can have in it. And that's the basic point. Successful comms and content, you've got to create some sort of emotional connection with people. Stop thinking about key message A, B, C. Start thinking about what's the emotion that I want to create with this thing. So then it comes down to storytelling. And if I play you this next ad, I'm probably going to run a minute over, but I'm going to play it anyway, I think, because hopefully you like it and it demonstrates the point. Again, looking at the advertising, the content that has been out there, it's again staggering that people aren't really changing the way that they're communicating. So probably we've all heard about the power of stories and narratives. Only 38% of the video that we looked at in the last year actually had some sort of story to it. Even if I'm going to be super critical, the Coke one doesn't have it. So probably most of you, and the reason I stopped it is you get the idea in the Coke one after about 15 seconds, you're alright, fine, montage of pretty people drinking Coke, I get it, it's fun. But then it gets dull, and that's because there's no story. So this is the interesting thing with content and skippable, is that you've kind of got a choice. Because people can opt out after 5 seconds, you either hammer the message and the brand in the first 5 seconds and just make that sort of annoying type of advertising, which actually can damage you unless you do it very well, or you create a story which engages people. And one of the reasons for this presentation that I can't show you all the stuff that I want to show you is because it gets very long. Some of this is 1.5 minutes, 2 minutes, 2.5 minutes long. And that's because the people that get it are investing in stories that actually will capture and engage people and create emotions for the long term. I'm going to play you one story, because this is quite nice. Nice, right? Very beautiful story. If you didn't feel something, then you're dead inside. So that's a beautiful story. And that's the sort of thing that leaves a powerful emotion. And the brand was pretty well woven into that as well. And that stays with you. And if you can create a consistent emotional tone to the brand, that stuff starts layering on top. So that's what we're talking about. And there's some data that shows that's amazing, but I think by all faces, even though that was a European ad, it still resonates, I think, in this part of the world. I need to talk one technical thing, branding. So yes, emotions, yes, feelings, yes, stories. Don't forget about the brand. Because if you make advertising or content without the brand in it somewhere, you're just providing free entertainment, which is very good of you, but it's not really what we're paid to do. And basic point of this data is, in all of the work we've done, the single most important determining factor of a campaign or a piece of content that drives sales versus one that doesn't is it has the brand in it. Purely because if you don't, you're not selling anything. It's as simple as that. So how to get the brand into it? Actually, I thought the Adidas version is, the Adidas one earlier was a pretty good example. So it's woven throughout the film. It doesn't just appear at the end. The earlier one from Thailand is a little bit weak because the brand just pops up at the end. The Adidas one is streamed through the whole thing. But the key is it's about brand fit. And this is where you need to talk about consistency. So in the quest for emotions and stories and cut through, so important not to chop and change. Because that emotion, that feeling that we're trying to lead people with, needs to be consistent. And the best example of that I can think of is the Coke. So over the last 150 years, they've pretty much consistently created the same feeling behind that brand. And that means they can start just layering stuff on top really nicely. If you chop and change all the time, you can't do that. You're starting from scratch every time. If you are starting from scratch every time, like my favourite cola brand here, what you have to do is get it round into the story and make the brand absolutely fundamental. So you see how the brand is so well integrated into that, and it does work. Ultimately, the challenge with branding, and this is a whole other presentation, is about consistency. So it's very easy for me to say, create a consistent emotion, but what if you've got dozens and dozens of different pieces of content, and you've got retail and product and group brand messaging, and you've got sales stuff and brand stuff. That's where the challenge is. But yeah, can be done, but it's a whole other presentation. Finally, the channel itself. So here's some data from Singapore. The data on the left is from us, the data on the right is from the IAB. Just looking at the percent that's been invested in digital by country. It's pretty interesting actually, because Singapore we're quite a conservative bunch. So even by 2020, digital ad spend is only looking at about 30%, which is quite incredible. The point is, and I think someone else is going to talk about it later, is that traditional is not dead. Even in Singapore, traditional is not dead. TV has got a lot of legs in it. What we're finding is the good stuff is the stuff that combines both. So it makes a link between digital and TV, basically, and the campaign spread across. What you can see on the left-hand side is reach. Digital gets you access to that 8% that are not watching TV. But the real power is by connecting it into the 50% or so that are watching TV all the time. So how do you do that? Just to wrap up and go back to the earlier example, the income ad. Everyone from Singapore will know that income campaign started with this huge PR thing. I've forgotten her name. I was trying really hard to remember it. Who tell the actress? Rebecca Lim, yeah. So Rebecca Lim came out and said, I'm retiring, and played with our emotions and all of that. And it didn't go down very well at the time actually, but it was a fantastic bit of PR. It generated the boost for the whole campaign, which it played off. The point is, you have to integrate the TV with some sort of strategy to get people's attention online. And they did that fantastically well. So yeah, be creative with the media, that's the final tip. So to sum up, brands that grow have a meaningful difference about them. Brands that make effective content and comms are being different and meaningful in a really emotional way. They're telling really powerful stories and they're working with that intuitive system one part of the brain. They're not forgetting the basics of branding, and they're thinking creatively about the media that they're working in. So that's now part of it. That's part of the creative process. It's how are you going to use all these fantastic channels that we talked about in the first presentation to cut through and make a difference. Okay, so no golden rules, but 5 tips. Hopefully that's interesting. Thank you very much.